Good morning, everybody. How is everybody today? I hope you are all well. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. Circumstances. Do you know this is actually probably the latest I've been? Normally I start early. I apologize to anybody who was waiting for me. I literally didn't have time to edit my YouTube discussion page, so that should give you some idea. Anyway, I'm here. We're back in the long dark. Let's get on with this. And where am I? It's early morning and I need to remember everything I'm doing. I'm in the wrong hut, but that's alright. Good morning, Anna. I'm glad oh, grief. Oh, good heavens. Yep, okay. Not weather I want to be wandering around in. Where did I put everything? Oof, I get the chills just looking at that. Ah, here we go. So I've got deer hide, charcoal, gut, back there. Okay, alright. I'm back where I know I should be. And heavens, did my temperature drop rapidly? Wow, that is uncomfortably bad out there. The good news is, of course... Oh, I'm so sorry. There we go. Thank you for reminding me, Anna. One of the disadvantages to having reworked my setup a bit is it's not immediately obvious when I don't carry much more. It's not immediately obvious when I don't have things working. Okay, I think we're good though. Good morning to everybody who's looking forward to seeing my pretty face. We're here. Alright, so what am I going to do today in the middle of a blizzard? I do not know. Let's see. Normally at this time I would read books or check my clothing, but I'm already pretty sure I know what... Wow, that was a terribly, terribly fast getting wet and cold. I still need to fix that. The moose hide cloak looks good. That's good. That's good. That's good. And we're all right there. I do need to fix the pants, obviously. I can fix that. Well, thank you. I just got a warm glow from Anna there. Thank you. So, what am I gonna do? I can't light a fire. I can go back to bed. Actually, do you know what? That's a good way. Let's go back to bed for a bit. Oh, hang on a second. I just need to get my laptop up and running. I'm actually watching a video, not at this moment, obviously. One of my interests is history, as you may or may not have gathered, and I'm watching a documentary about the indefatigable versus the Droit de l'Homme, which is one of those absolutely classic actions. In the Napoleonic Wars, the Droit de l'Homme was technically a ship of the line, carrying, sort of converted into a troop carrier. The Indefatigable was a 44-gun, you might say, heavy frigate. And the action between the Indefatigable, it was accompanied by 2 other smaller ships, and the Droit de l'Homme is one of those absolute classics. If you made a movie of it, you arguably wouldn't believe what was going on.
Feels like a lot of gear.
Incredible battle, truly remarkable. They were helped. It was the middle of a storm. The Droit de l'Homme, the French ship, as you might be able to tell from my lousy pronunciation, couldn't, as I recall, use its lower gun deck. But it's one of those situations. Frigates in the age of sail did not and should not battle a ship of the line. The disparity in firepower is so immense that there's no way in heck you would ever countenance such a fight. In fact, there was a sort of unwritten law that if you were in a battle, it was considered not proper for a ship of the line to engage a frigate, simply because of the disparity in firepower. A single broadside from a ship of the line would absolutely destroy a frigate. But if the frigate decided to attack a ship of the line, then all rules were off the board, and this is one of those situations. A remarkable fight. It's worth looking up. If you like naval military history, go look up the Indefatigable, Edmund Pellew, and his fight with the Droit de l'Homme. Baba! My goodness, Baba! How are you? We haven't seen you. I was wondering what happened to you. Well, I'm very glad to have you back, mate. Did you catch my live stream from the replay a couple of days ago? Ooh! I just realized you upgraded your computer. What did you upgrade it to? What did you upgrade? Please, tell us. I was thinking more of the walking through the darkness and the blizzards and general stupidity because I forgot my bedroll and I have no idea where it is. I've got one on me now, so I'm perfectly okay. But making it back to here. Oh, very nice. Alright, so I've got wood. What else do I do? Okay, Well, now, with all due respect, Anna, the idea of going to Bleak Inlet was entirely my thing. Now, come on, be reasonable here. Going to Bleak Inlet to use the reloading bench was my idea. I did want to do that, and yeah, everything after that was Anna's fault. No, I'm joking. Of course, it wasn't her fault. It was my own silliness. I should have been able to make it, but. Yeah. And to be honest, let's be honest here. The last part of that live stream was epic. I mean, middle of the night in a blizzard, threatened by a wolf, attacked and mauled by a bear, killed the bear, made it down here, started to freeze to death in the car, and actually made it here. Come on, that's got to be worth something. Yeah, in middle. And don't forget, I got mauled by the bear, and then it came back, and then I shot it, and it ran away. I got so lucky, and I did kill it, and I got the bear skin so I can fix my stuff. So that is actually what I'm looking at doing now, is fixing my stuff. And now I need to remind myself, what is it I need to fix? I think it is the trousers. Yeah, I do need to fix my trousers. Everything else is okay. I should fix my socks. I probably ought to do that. Oh yeah, no, I mean, I pretty much gave up on the idea of surviving, and then pretty much said, well, you know what, let's not go down without a fight. So I didn't, and I was amazed. I genuinely thought that I was dead. Now hang on a second, I had something else I wanted to do, which is, yeah, oh, let's go and do a bit of beach combing. I do want to get everything fixed up again before I go back to Bleak Inlet. I'm sorry about that. Trying to cross the trestle bridge in the middle of a storm was interesting. I will be, yes. Yes, I am. As soon as I fix everything up. So, not immediately. I do want to rebuild some of my stuff. I think that's the deer I shot yesterday. Well, if anything, if I've learned anything so far from the two of you, it is that, yeah, don't give up. No, this is new.
I think I can use this.
Wouldn't mind a rabbit or two. Oh, the special effects, the sound effects, when you cross the trestle bridge, were bad enough when the weather was clear. When it's in the middle of a blizzard, yeah, that was no fun. Oh, in case anybody's wondering, the reason I look unshaven is I am considering regrowing the rest of my beard, so that's the reason for that. It certainly helps. It's not winter, of course, here. It's a bit cold in the mornings, but honestly, not too bad. It is beautiful. We've had a fantastic month. The sun is shining right now, and this is arguably the best or second best spring I've experienced in the United Kingdom in my life that I remember. I still have fond memories of the year I came back to the United Kingdom. My son was 3, and I returned to the UK from the United States. And that spring was fantastic. I'm not even going to bother with the salmon because I can go and fish some. It's going to be much better. But no, the spring I came back, we came back I think in February, and it was beautiful then. And between then and my going to Austria, we had fantastic weather. Right up through May. Absolutely glorious spring weather. And this year, so far, is coming close to that, which is nice. Wait, what did I do wrong? Oh, there is? Did I miss that? Hang on. Ah, there is. Oh yeah, no. I've pretty much I dropped my arrows. Sorry, my arrowheads back at the lighthouse because, frankly, despite going to all the trouble to making them, I don't really need them. I do need some birch, though. That would be nice. A few rabbits would be good. Well, I have a stash if I need them, so it's not such a huge deal. Oh, I forgot. I had a sort of plan. I wanted to see if I could replace my combat pants with another set of deerskin. I should probably consider that. But within the nature of the game, this is positively rest and relaxation. This is the... Oh, look, rabbits! This is really not turning out to be my day. I'm sort of developing a policy of leaving animal skins behind wherever I go. All right, that should. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. And let's see. Nope, I still don't have an archery level good enough to let me shoot from crouched. That would make life so much easier. Still. Let's head back. Well, let's be honest, most places I have been, I think I've left behind significant stockpile of pretty much everything. I've still got a bear skin at the desolation point. Not sure if I got moose. I don't have the moose skin because I'm wearing it. But no, I mean, back in Milton, I have food and I got a lot of stuff back there. I got stuff back at Mystery Lake. I got stuff back at the Carter Hydroelectric Dam. I got stuff in Pleasant Valley. I have little caches now all over the place. I just need to remember that if I want extra hatchets, they're at the Misanthropes. Yeah, Milton. Yeah, is that not what I said? Well, you know my rule about hunting animals. If in doubt, get very, very close and get them to charge at you. Seems to work with deer. Oh, and then there was that wolf I plinked. Grief, that was, what, a week ago? Last week? Silly thing. Didn't run when I first shot at it, so I just changed my aim and shot a bit higher and got it. I have gotten remarkably lucky with my hunting, though. Right, let's harvest and cook my dinner.
Sunset. It's gonna get a lot colder soon.
Oh, wow. That's nice. That's very nice. I would hate to meet a moose on a night like this. It was bad enough in the middle of a blizzard. Oh! I forgot something. Right. Another day done. Done? Gone. What was I talking about? Oh, single ship actions during the Age of Sail. Yeah,
Drop any of this gear.
Indefatigable versus the Droit de l'Homme, otherwise known as the Rights of Man. That's a classic. The other one, which I wish they would make a movie of, is the Shannon versus the Chesapeake. That one was incredible. You could actually do a sort of biography of both of the captains, because the actual battle, you could literally do a blow-by-blow of the battle on screen, because it was over and done in 15 minutes. Incredible action. I think it would make a heck of a movie, but, you know, Hollywood being Hollywood, they probably won't. The thing is, I can never remember the name of the Chesapeake's captain. The Shannon's captain, I do remember, Philip Veerbroek, or Broke. He actually died as a result of the action. Years later, strangely, during the action itself. And by the way, the single ship combat between the Shannon and the Chesapeake had everything. It had a gunnery duel, it had a boarding action. Brooke himself took a blow to the head that apparently exposed his brain, and he never entirely recovered from it, but he did, recover incredibly. He survived it. And some years later, he fell off his horse, and that killed him, apparently. Yes, I'm carrying lead for bullets. That's only half my lead. I've got the other lead back at Desolation Point, but I can always go back and get it. What am I going to do while I wait for everything to cure? I do sincerely wish to go to Bleak Inlet, but I want everything to be 100% before I go to a new region. Where are the wolves? I mean, not that I massively want to find them, but where are they? I do not know. And having said that, isn't there supposed to be... Is the bear that sometimes shows up here, is that the same one that mauled me the other night? So is there a bear here and the bear up there? Is that the same one? I hope so, because I'm wandering around here in a sort of carefree fashion. Oh. Because I do remember the time I was investigating this place, came out of, I think it was this hut, and I saw the bear's backside disappearing straight over there. So that means there are, what, 4 bears in this region? Yeah, I know, people keep saying I should get the DLC. Oh, yeah. Well, in which case then this one is already dead and I don't have to worry about it for a few days. Oh, just FYI, I won't be streaming on Sunday, and I probably won't tomorrow. No guarantees, but no, I have somewhere to be on Sunday, and so I won't be doing that. Let's go and grab a deer. Now, the reason I haven't got the DLC, well, there's a couple of reasons. One, it's £20, and I am not actually particularly rich on a month-to-month basis. The second reason is I think to get the benefits of the downloadable content, I would have to restart the game, and I have now put so much time and effort into this particular run, I don't wish to restart. Because I can't imagine I would be as lucky second time around. And Anna tells me that I have had some ridiculous luck in this game. My idea of a flex in this game is I've got the moose skin cloak and the bearskin coat. To be honest with you, those are things I never actually thought I'd get, and yet here I am. I did that. I've done that twice. I have literally, don't forget, I literally had a moose drop dead in front of me, and hang on, I haven't had a bear drop dead in front of me, have I? But I did kill a bear in the middle of a blizzard, so that counts. Yes, it counts. Of course it counts. Don't give me that. Yeah, it still charged me though. And the moose in Desolation Point, I did in fact deliberately hunt. You've got to give me that. Oh, and don't forget the 200 to 300 meter shot at the bear in Desolation Point. So that unquestionably counts. Yeah. I must admit, I would like to set up a situation where I could bow hunt a moose in the game. I've used entirely too much rifle ammunition on moose. I keep the rifle for moose and bear. Unexpected. If I get to plan the hunt, I wouldn't use it. Yeah, well, apparently I'm moderately good at it. And let's see where it goes. Arrow drop on any bow is always going to be harsh. I mean, realistically, the speed of an arrow is really low compared with a something like a rifle or even a pistol. So, and nope, none of those are the deer I shot. I should have paid more attention. I thought it was one of these. No, I'm not going to head out. I want to, like I say, fix everything and restock my little cache. And I've lost the deer. Oh, that's not good. Ah, is that it? Where are the wolves? This is actually making me somewhat nervous. I know there's a wolf pack around here, and I have not encountered it. Oh, that's my deer.
I can barely walk with this much gear.
See you later, Baba. Have a good day. It was awfully good to see you again. Ah, there are the wolves, way over there. Okay. Somehow I feel better for knowing where they are. Yeah, I think he meant those sort of weird pyramidal things. I have no idea what they are. Did I just hear a wolf howl, or is it the people renovating the apartments? I had a look, by the way, at the renovation work going on next door. They have literally had to rip out most of the 2 apartments and rebuild it from the inside out. I didn't realize they were doing so much. It's quite impressive. I was actually talking with one of the builders. We got a laugh over the fact that the other day I was live streaming when they were working, and we thought that maybe there was a jet going across. He thought that was hilarious. He did actually apologize, and I said there's no need, I know you have a job to do, but they've actually, to their credit, tried to minimize the amount of work they're making, noise they're making, because now they know I live stream, and so they're trying to accommodate that, which was terribly nice of them. I never asked them for anything like that, and I wouldn't. You know, they have a job to do. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, sorry about that. Honestly, I feel a bit profligate. For shooting. I've shot 3 deer in the last 2 days, and I don't need the meat. I just want to have the deer skins, and it's kind of funny. When I first started playing, I didn't want to shoot anything unless I had to. And now look at me. I'm shooting deer because they're there and I can, and I want the resources. It's almost become second nature. I still don't like it when you can't find them, but hunting deer on the ice makes life a lot easier. I'll tell you what though, beachcombing and finding arrows on the beach is weird. I mean, what happened? Did a container ship full of arrows sink somewhere off there? Finding driftwood, yeah, that's reasonable. But arrows? Hatchets? Knives? Not something that really happens in reality. Right, let's yeah, well, it's not that, it's just the improbability of a ship loaded down with arrows, to be honest. Well, you know, if I wanted an ultra realistic game, I probably wouldn't end up playing video games, would I? I mean, Minecraft is a heck of a lot of fun. Is it realistic? In no way, shape, or form. I'll tell you what. The one game I've no interest in playing it, but I've actually seen the series. What is it? Last of Us? The idea, the central idea to the game, that this fungus takes over the brains of humans and turns them into zombies, is, I think, a remarkably good one. Because the fungus they use in the game is and in the TV series is called cordyceps, and the cordyceps fungus. Yeah, I mean, that's very much a real thing. It doesn't infect humans, of course, but I thought that was one of the cleverest explanations of zombies I've ever come across. I thought that was genius, and I loved the idea, the way that the mycelium that the fungus puts out would serve to alert the other fungi. I thought that was brilliant, to be honest with you. I did like that. In the end, I can't say I was a massive fan of the TV series. But the idea was simply worth watching. You know, just to say, oh my goodness, they've had this great idea. Yes, that's worth watching for me. But as you may know, I'm a weird sort of fellow anyway, so. One of the big issues, and I never played the game, but I watched playthroughs. Plays through? Not sure. Anyway, was honestly, it was they are ridiculously violent games. Of course they are. You know, what do you expect? But in the second game, anti-violence becomes more of a thing, and yet the game is still ultra-violent. But I suppose, you know, you wouldn't have had a game without it. Not because it wasn't possible, but because, you know, people who play it want the violence. In a way, maybe, that's why I no longer play particularly violent games. I just got tired of it. One of my defining moments in video game playing was one of the Grand Theft Auto. I can't remember if it was Grand Theft Auto 3 or one of the others. And there's one of the missions where you have to kill somebody's wife. And, you know, it's just a game. So you go ahead and do it. What bothered me was that you go hunt down this person's wife, and you're chasing her in the car, and you're hitting her with your car, and you're shooting at her. And what got to me was the way the poor woman was screaming. And I think that was the point at which I started to get a bit turned off by video game violence. It was... Oh, I mean, I've got nothing against people playing it, right? I mean, you know, my view of things, as you know, is that playing a video game or reading a novel are similar activities. To me, they are, at any rate. And I've got no problem with violence in novels. I've got no problem with kids reading violence. I've told you this before. You know, I did when I was a kid. I remember being 10 years old, and I read Diamonds Are Forever. I'm 10 years old and I'm reading Diamonds Are Forever. And all the children with me in that school were reading adult books with adult violence and adult content. You know, I mean, adult content. I actually have no problem with that at all. It's just as I got older, and I think I've talked about this before, I get, I just want to be a bit cozy. Now, I grant you, The Long Dark may not seem like a cozy game, but every act of violence you do in The Long Dark is for a purpose. Yes, I technically would agree with you. Technically. But, and I know I've said this before, the people who complain about violent video games are quite happy for their children to read the Bible. And the Bible is full of content that is as bad, if not worse, than, say, Game of Thrones. So, where'd you draw the line? So, what have I... Hang on a second. Oh, sorry. Didn't realise. I have to go take a toilet break. I'll be back in 3 or 4 minutes. So, see you all shortly. Okay, I think I'm back. Oh, no, I'm not. Hang on. Now I am. Hello again. So, what was I doing? Talking, probably. Probably about things I would be well advised not to talk about, but so, what's my deer like? That's 97. That is 51. That is 76. And I have another deer hide on me, don't I? Do I not have another deer hide on me? I do. Good. How is the sound quality, incidentally? Let's make some bandages. Let's make some of that. And I might as well make fishing tackle. Right, so I'm actually pretty well set up in here. I would like a bit more water. Oh, grief, you have a blizzard? I try to arrange the sound so that on OBS it doesn't peak out at max. It just strikes me as being a bit off if I do that.
Something's gotta go.
Oh no, I assumed you meant you were having a blizzard. This doesn't look fantastic, but in the game. Sorry if I grimace sometimes. I'm not sure if it's genuinely because my kidney stones are bothering me or because it's memory of the damn things. Oops. Sorry. I used language I do not normally use. I apologize for that. Oh, okay. Oh, hang on a second. I should check that. Where's my phone? Sorry, I have this habit, I know. What's this? This is somebody sending me a text message, which is probably somebody trying to sell me something. Let me see what this is. Oh no, we're good. Stick that over here. Right. What am I going to do today? Yeah, I half the time when I get messages on WhatsApp, it's something I need to pay attention to. It's either about or from my son or family, and I have this urge to immediately take action if I need to. And every single time, I think most times. Oh, I have stories about Girl Scout cookies. When I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and married to my first ex-wife, and this is kind of, actually, maybe I'll tell the whole story. My first ex-wife was heavily involved in her local Baptist church, and as you now know, I am an atheist. But I didn't mind my wife's involvement in the church. She knew that I was an atheist. I think the church kind of suspected, but one of the things the church got up to was Girl Scout cookies, and every year they would get this massive delivery of Girl Scouts cookies, and I always got involved in unpacking the truck. I can't say it was a good experience, but it was fun in its own retrospective way. What people would get up to, or refuse to get up to, in the name of the church. And I never particularly liked Girl Scout cookies. They are average quality cookies. They're not particularly good, to be honest with you. But every year, me and my first ex-wife would turn up to do the unloading. She was basically in charge of it, as I recall. But the story gets even funnier because the Baptist church that she was a member of, that's actually where we got married, which was and still is amusing to me. And they decided they wanted to do a TV ministry. And you might think, surely, as an atheist, I would have a profound objection to that. And the simple truth is, I don't care that much. That's my idea of tolerance. That's my idea of tolerance. I don't care enough to be intolerant. It's a very English sort of thing. So, because my first ex-wife she got seriously involved in the TV ministry. She was the director and editor for this weekly church service, and I was her main cameraman, because she needed somebody that she could rely on. And as her husband, I thought that was perfectly reasonable. And so there's me, an atheist, actually being on camera for a church's TV ministry. And this is during the Olympics in 1996. And I think my mother actually watched
Starting to slow me down.
one of the ministry's church services because it was broadcast internationally. So she, my mother, therefore saw my work, and I think we both thought it was terribly amusing. I was arguably more dedicated to that church than many Christians. And it simply comes down to, I don't mind what people believe as long as it doesn't infringe on what I regard as being people's rights. And I did have some fairly significant arguments with them, without revealing that I didn't believe their faith, simply on the grounds of I thought their stance on certain things was unchristian and inappropriate. But it was a fascinating experience. I remember there was this time we had a professional camera crew come in. Now, at the time, there was this local version of a Vision of the Virgin Mary type thing going on. And these cameramen had been there. And I got to talking with them about it. And they basically said, yeah, we were there, and it was basically, a lot of it was all faked. They said a lot of the flashing lights that people saw were because the various people involved had set up flashlights that were triggered by other lights, like lightning strikes, and there was a thunderstorm at the time. So you remember this, you have the lightning strike, and then it sets off all these flashlights that they had secreted around the scene, which I thought was terribly amusing. And I think this is the very first time I ever talked about it. What I did find is that all the cameramen, almost all the cameramen I have met and worked with as a cameraman for this TV ministry, were almost all, deeply, deeply cynical. It was the funniest thing. With one exception, all the cameramen were completely unaffected by whatever the pastor was doing. And I actually sort of get why, because when you're doing that kind of thing, you can't be personally involved. Now, we did have one camera person who was a woman who did get involved. And she didn't last very long as a cameraman. And I think it's because she did get emotionally involved. My feeling about being a camera person, or cameraman, or camera woman, or however you want to describe it, is because we were viewing the world through the lens of our cameras, the last thing we wanted to do was be involved. And that seems to be what makes a good cameraman. I mean, my exposure to these people and to myself in that role was moderately limited, only lasted a few years. But it was an interesting look at people. Cameramen, I think, in some ways, are a bit like scientists. They are only seeking to document what they see without making judgment. Scientists do something similar. And, yeah. A very interesting experience. Yeah, but I saw stuff at that church. I will probably not repeat online because I might be misinterpreted or. But it was fascinating. I will tell you that. To be this atheist embedded deep in an African American Baptist church in the deep South, as heavily involved as I was, it was fascinating. I found it quite fascinating. I don't regret doing it in any way, shape or form. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, hang on. This I definitely want to pay attention to. I think this is going to be my son. Okay, no, that's alright. We're good. But I will say, I think I've implied this before, but I will say that living in Atlanta, married to an African American, living essentially in African American society, involved with a Black Baptist church, taught me an awful lot. I think one of the reasons I had no particular problems was because I was English and therefore somewhat exotic. You know, I never had any particular problems, and they had no particular problems with me. But it was still fascinating. The stuff I learned about American society, yeah, pretty much would turn your hair white if I were to repeat all of it. Certainly did mine. Actually, I can give a few examples. There was a moment back then when Jane Fonda, you know, Hanoi Jane, as they like to call her, and that's a whole different subject, made a comment about people in the rural South living in tar paper shacks and how this was unacceptable. And the rest of America went quite ballistic about it. You know, America's not a third world country. How dare you say this? Those of us who lived in Atlanta were like, oh no, she's actually quite right. You know, there's nothing wrong with what she said, because this was a very real thing. Probably still is. Rural America is much more primitive sometimes, or it was, than you might think. And I've even got a personal example of this, because when my then fiance went to get our marriage license, and this is kind of amusing, and I can't remember what county we were in, so we went to get our marriage license, and when at that time you went to get your marriage license, this county's policy was they would give you a goodie bag. Now, okay, that's nice, but then you look inside the goodie bag, and it is soap and shampoo and washing powder. And I actually said to the person who was handing the stuff out, it's like, what's this about? And she said, it's to remind people who come in from the countryside to clean themselves up before the wedding. And this was their policy. This was in late 90s Georgia. And this is entirely in line with Jane Fonda's comments about people in the rural South living in tar paper shacks. Some of them absolutely do. And apparently some of them don't wash with great regularity, to the extent that the county has a policy about reminding them, when you go and get married, please take a bath first. I hope it's no longer that way. I mean, we're only talking, 30 years ago, I suppose. But I strongly suspect a lot of it hasn't really changed. And many people outside of the US, even in the US, don't really know what the United States is like. It is not as developed a country as you might think, which I personally regard as being utterly wrong. Ooh, I need to put down the birch sticks, because I want to remake some of my arrows. Now, Jane Fonda is a divisive character in the United States, because she famously, during the Vietnam War, went to North Vietnam. Now, you've got to bear in mind that the Vietnam War lasted for, to the Americans, 10 years. And it was a hugely divisive combat at the time. The history of the Vietnam War is actually kind of fascinating. If you can ever find a decent documentary, sit down and watch it. And if it lasts for 5 hours, that probably means it's a halfway decent one. Now, so Jane Fonda was famously had a photo taken of her sitting at a North Vietnamese anti-aircraft establishment. She didn't do any shooting or anything like that, and was heavily criticized for it. And people have called her things like traitor and un-American, as if to say that if you were a true American, you would support the American effort in Vietnam. The simple truth is, no. What was going on in North Vietnam or South Vietnam was just inhuman. It was a completely unjust conflict. And technically, America wasn't at war. They never declared war against the North Vietnamese. They just spent 10 years and 58,000 lives and killed maybe 1 million Vietnamese in the process. And so I actually technically have no particular problem with Jane Fonda going to North Vietnam. And of course, in the end, the North Vietnamese won. And Vietnam, while it's not exactly a utopia, has not turned out to be the communist tipping point in Southeast Asia that everyone was terrified that it would be. Which means getting involved in North Vietnam was the wrong thing to do. And I know, we look back at the time and say, obviously it was wrong, or maybe maybe not. Some people will say, no, we should have gotten involved. We did the right thing. I look at it and say, the American involvement was an intelligence failure. They should have understood the Vietnamese better. And if they had, they would probably have never done it. Or maybe they would, I don't know. North Vietnam was only technically... Oh! Alright, go lie down, and thank you for watching. And remind me what I was talking about next time, and I'll continue it. Oh, I said, no, I'll continue, and then I just realized there are 18 people watching. I didn't realize there were that many people watching. I'm sorry, people. I'm so used to talking to Anna here that I never even bothered to check how many people are watching. So, anyway, have a good day, Anna. So, I will try and continue what I was talking about and the Vietnam War. The thing is, there's this sort of perception that the Vietnam War was sort of about democracy in Southeast Asia. No, it wasn't. And I can't remember the name of the South Vietnamese president. He was every bit as bad as the North Vietnamese rulership. Seriously, he was. The only reason the Americans supported him, arguably, was because he was Christian. Technically, he was Catholic. But, and Americans, by the way, have a really negative opinion of Catholics. At least historically they have. But this guy, and I can't remember his name. Give me a second. I now I have to find out. What was his name? Nope. Well, okay. Okay, the first guy was, and I can't pronounce this properly, No Din Diem. And he is recognized as being a dictator. But he got assassinated in 1963, so that is kind of prior to... here we go. Nguyen Van Thieu, with apologies for the pronunciation. Yeah. Now, he was just as horrific a dictator as the name suggests. Not his personal name, the fact that he was a dictator. And yet, the Americans supported him. But yeah, no, he was arguably just as bad as everyone in the whole war. And the reason I say it was an intelligence failure is this. The fear at the time was that if communism took over the entirety of Vietnam, then the rest of Southeast Asia would fall like a house of cards to communism. Except it didn't. And if you pay any attention to the Vietnamese, you realize that that wasn't their goal. They weren't communist because they necessarily believed in the precepts of communism, which are complicated, by the way. Vietnam just wanted to be Vietnam. They wanted to be their own country, and they had a history of fighting for that. They fought against everybody for hundreds of years to be their own country. Now, you've got to respect that. And if America and other intelligence, the intelligence agencies of other countries had actually understood this, the Vietnam War might have been avoidable.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
Oh, and what is even worse is that at the end of World War II, the Americans did promise Vietnam their independence. And then under pressure from the French, who wanted Vietnam back, because Vietnam, until the start of World War II, was technically French Indochina. And the French influence in Vietnam can still be seen. So the Americans actually went against their word to the Vietnamese by supporting the French. Now, geopolitics allows it to make sense, because the Americans were supporting the French in Vietnam so that the French would support the Americans in NATO. So it was a I'll scratch my back, you scratch yours. Was it the right thing to do? No. Technically, no, it wasn't. Would NATO have come together without the American support of the French in Vietnam? I don't know. That's a difficult one to try and parse out. I would point out that the French aren't stupid any more than any other country.
It's starting to weigh me down.
So they might well have actually supported the NATO, because at the time the very real danger in Europe was Russia. It still is. So I think a proper intelligence assessment might have said, you know what, this whole Vietnam thing, complete waste of time. But on the other hand, I am looking at it from the benefit of, I can look at the past and say, yo, that was silly, that was wrong, or whatever. You know, it's geopolitics is never simple. And if you want my personal opinion, it's almost always wrong. It has no thought for people, in my opinion. Oh, grief.
Feels like a lot of gear.
Right. Hang on a second. I need to fix a couple of things over here. And okay, I need to exercise my bladder, and I will be back. Sorry about this. I'm 59. My bladder only sustains itself for so long. So I'll be right back in 3 or 4 minutes. Please don't go away, and in the meantime, you can look at complete darkness. And I'm back. What was I doing? I was pontificating, probably. And sleeping. Wow, I still have 18 people watching. I am curious. How many of the 18 people watching are actually subscribers? I think I actually get a lot of return visitors to my live streams rather than new people, which is fine. I'm not complaining at all. I hope I make your day a little more interesting. Does anybody want me to tell another story about my life while I'm messing around here? Please, somebody engage me in chat. It's a lot easier to do this when there's somebody talking back to me, even if you're disagreeing with me about things. I still appreciate it. Okay, so what can I fix next? That's nearly cured. And that is 20% cured, and that's 59%. So my general plan is, as soon as I get my gear up to 100%, I'll head back to Bleak Inlet and I'll go back to the ravine and try and go to Bleak Inlet. So what I'm basically doing here is waiting for this to cure, so I can fix my coat. And I need more arrows. So, well, I want more arrows. Don't need them specifically. Let's have a look and see what the weather's like. Let's drop off some water. I think dropping off 3.5 litres, 4 litres of water would be a good thing. And I should do something about that. I forgot I had this. Let's cook my rabbit.
Too heavy.
Actually, let's get some more wood, for the simple reason that I can. But I tell you what, if any of the 19 people watching right now are not subscribed, subscribing would help this channel probably an awful lot. And maybe I could break 120. That would be nice.
walk with this much gear.
So, as many of you probably realize, I am profoundly anti-war. I personally think that there is no such thing as a just war. As much as I attempt to, and trust me, I have tried to come up with a war that can be considered to be truly just, and the simple thing is I can't come up with one. I mean, everybody says, World War II was a justified war. Well, yes, I kind of agree.
This gear's starting to slow me down.
Except that World War II was utterly avoidable. Because World War II came directly out of World War I. And World War I was as unjust a war as I've ever learned about. Especially the end of it. One of the problems with World War I was the insistence during the Versailles Conference that the Germans take responsibility for starting the war. And guess what? The Germans did not start World War I. That was the Serbians and the Austrians. That is literally true. And even then, the whole thing could have been avoided. But people didn't care enough not to stop it. So, World War I was not justified. World War II sprang out of World War I, so therefore World War II is not justified. There were a lot of things happening in the 20s which could have basically made World War II a non-thing. But again, we come back down to geopolitics. One thing that particularly strikes in my mind is that the British and the Japanese, well, there's two things actually. During the Versailles Conference, the Japanese essentially wanted the rest of the world, and we're saying the white world, wanted the rest of the world to recognize Asians, specifically the Japanese, but Asians, to have the same kind of recognition that, say, European countries have. And the European countries all unanimously basically said, nope, not going to do it. Now that is not a good way to treat a country. Nonetheless, even during the Versailles Conference, the British and the Japanese had the Anglo-Japanese treaty going. And the Japanese had obeyed the terms of that treaty during World War I. They had entered World War I as allies of the British. And they did very well by the rules of that treaty. And yet, because of geopolitics, the British were essentially forced out of the treaty for reasons which completely escape me. I really don't get it. So it is interesting to speculate if the English had maintained their treaty with the Japanese, and it was a mutual thing, it was a two-way process, and both sides benefited greatly from the interchange between, say, between the English and the Japanese, the British, I should say, and the Japanese. If that had been maintained, maybe the war in the Pacific might not have happened, because if everyone had just treated reasonably with each other. It gets complicated, doesn't it? I like to think that World War II was completely avoidable. In my gut says yes, it was avoidable. My head says maybe not. The racism against the Japanese was so ingrained that maybe it was not avoidable.
It's getting dark out here. Time to look for shelter.
But that could be, that could also come down to an intelligence failure. It is significant that the national character of Japan did change quite dramatically between World War I and World War II. It is not commonly known, but during World War I, the Japanese did take on the Germans and won at Tsingtao, which was a German enclave that the Russians besieged and took. And they took a bunch of German prisoners of war. And a surprising number of those German prisoners of war elected after the end of World War I to stay in Japan. They had actually been treated so well by the Japanese that they decided they wanted to stay. There is still a town, I think it's in southern Japan, and I can't remember what it's called, where the locals still dress up in lederhosen and have beer festivals and celebrate their German ancestry, because the Germans married and had children with the Japanese. So, when you compare what happened during World War II, it's like, whoa, wait a second. How did this happen? Well, during the late 20s and 30s, there was a political movement which radically changed the political view of of Japan, and yet I consider that experience of the Germans who elected to stay in Japan after World War I as being evidence that everything could have gone quite differently. And in some respects, what the Japanese were doing in Southeast Asia during the mid to late 30s, they were essentially emulating what the European nations had done in Africa, and were still doing in Africa. You If you ever want to have a look at a horrifying history, take a look at what the British were doing around the world during the 20s and 30s. It turns your stomach. And it turns my stomach as a British/English person. It is really quite horrifying. So no, at the end of the day, I don't think World War II was a justified or moral war. It was unavoidable in the end, but it could have been, well, I say it's unavoidable, if people had been different, behaved with decency, then yeah, World War II would never have happened. I don't think World War I might never have happened. And you know, we can go back and try and discuss others, but World War I and World War II, yeah, no, I don't really regard them as being moral wars.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
And you know what? I am going to... Oh my goodness. At the time. I am going to sleep through the night. And then bring this live stream to a close. Thank you very much for watching. I don't know whether I'll be streaming tomorrow. I certainly won't be streaming on Sunday, because I have places to go on Sunday. Appreciate you all being with me for the last couple of hours. Like I say, I hope this was moderately entertaining. Leave a like and subscribe if you can. And I will see you... I don't know about tomorrow, but I will almost certainly be back on Monday. I hope you'll have a good weekend.
I need to drop something.
I will see you all next